So thanks to Congressman Anthony Weiner and his Twitter account, there has been a lot of discussion lately about sharing explicit photos and messages. And while it is certainly a bad idea for a politician, sexting can also have serious consequences for teens. If the subject of the picture is underage, it can be considered child pornography, and the sender can actually face charges. But some lawmakers argue that teenagers should not face the same harsh punishments that are normally given out in child porn cases. Assemblyman Nick Perry is sponsoring a bill that would give prosecutors more leeway in handling these cases. He is joining me now to explain more about that. Assemblyman, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Liz.
So this is called the Cybercrime Youth Rescue Act. And the argument here basically is that kids who are underage who send each other sexual photos or sexual texts should perhaps not be treated as harshly as adults. Is that right?
That's basically the approach that we recommend.
And why is that? Because, you know, there have been a number of cases where kids harass each other or bully one another, and they send out these photos and they go viral, and then they come to terrible consequences, actually.
And sometimes the degree of the consequence might not be, merit the level of punishment that would be afforded on the current law. Certainly, we don't want for a youthful indiscretion, a youth to have his or her entire life prejudiced and future jeopardized because of a transgression that was not intended to violate the law, but sometimes just a prank that might have had a little consequence at the time. And we certainly hope that under this legislation, the authorities will have the appropriate remedy to consider how to deal with it.
This is actually creating an educational reform program. So basically what you argue is that kids need to be educated about the dangers of sexting. You actually have this brochure. It says, before you press send, think the dangers of sexting, what teens and parents need to know. Actually, you perhaps should give this out to people who are above the age of 18 too, as it turns out. But you think, I guess my question to you is, are you not worried that if you don't punish kids who engage in this kind of behavior, that then they will escalate to behavior like what we've seen with the congressman, for example?
Well, the bill is not intended to avoid punishment where it is merited. The bill, it will provide an alternative to prosecution as a criminal for an offense, and the court will have under the bill the latitude to determine whether or not this transgression is so egregious that the offender should face the force of the law. This bill establishes a educational reform program, and the offender will be mandated to attend and complete the program. Then the case goes back to the court and the determination is made at that time. Right now, we do not have a vehicle to provide for that. Prosecutors, as I have read in some counties, have used their discretion to spare youngsters the consequence of jail and a lifelong criminal record. This bill would require that the case, every case of this type by a youth 18 and younger, be diverted. We set up for the first time in New York a diversion program, a diversionary program that sends the case immediately to consideration for this program.
What is you actually represent Brooklyn, which is also included in Congressman Weiner's district. I mean, obviously this problem is serious enough, the issue of sexting and sending explicit images is serious enough for you to pen legislation, to have brochures. What are your thoughts in people like Congressman Weiner, who clearly are not setting the best example for kids at a time when you're trying actually to get them to recognize the dangers of this kind of behavior?
Well, all I'd say about that is, Congressman, like the children we raise are not perfect, are not always angels, and sometimes we have transgression. and it is human to err, and there is redemption for everyone. And this bill allows for some redemption of the child that goes on the wrong track, and we hope that my colleague gets redeemed soon.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Assemblyman Nick Perry. It's good to see you, and thanks for coming in to talk about this bill with us.
Thank you, Liz, and appreciate it.